ready?
Got open man. DJ Moore. End zone. Touchdown. Touchdown Bears.
I am Jeff Joniak.
Blitz is on. Down he goes. Brisker.
What was it like playing for Coach Ditka?
I don't want to answer any questions like that.
Pressure coming. He's in big trouble. Down he goes. Montez Sweat.
And now, Bears Etc. brought to you by Miller Lite with the voices of the Bears, Jeff Joniak and Tom Thayer.
Well, it's the first cut to 53 in the National Football League, a bittersweet day indeed for the obvious reasons. In some cases, dreams shattered. In other cases, dreams reached. A range of emotions for a large number of NFL players, and we discussed today on episode 163 of the Bears Etc. podcast. We're brought to you by Miller Lite with Super Bowl winning Bears guard Tom Thayer. I'm Jeff Joniak. For now, the Bears have their first 53-man roster for the 2025 season. But, Tom, it's going to change, possibly even throughout the week, more than likely because of injuries or players that Ryan Poles and his staff deem worthy of joining the roster from other squads.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the evaluation process never stops for players, and Ryan was talking about at his press conference how he and the staff have food ordered, and they're going to sit in that room and look over 1,000 players. I would love to be in that room because especially if I was a scout and I stood on the table for somebody a year or so ago, or if I stood on the table for a guy in this past draft and maybe they're represented, and to show them now how they fit on this roster, how they fit a deficiency on this team and where things are going. So I think tonight for Ryan and the staff would be as exciting as the night before the draft.
You know, the surest way of you to get in there, Tom, as an ex-player and you're a 40-year employee of the Bears in some form or fashion, is you cook up the meals. You get them the Mississippi pot roast. You get that over there. You get some stuff in a crock pot, and you'd make everybody happy. And then you can contribute.
Couple crock pots and some fresh Milano Brothers bread, and let's go to work. Let's start, standing on the table.
The 16-man practice squad also a part of this as well. So some of these players that the Bears have cut, maybe a big bunch, they could be back on the practice squad. They'll be valuable replacements throughout the season. So let's go through things, Tom. Let's just start with the offense, and we're going to hear from Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson was this morning. Ryan will run his whole news conference here in just a minute. But on offense, there are 14 new offensive players from a year ago onto the roster. So quarterback, the new addition obviously is Case Keenum. Running back right now, Swift, Roschon Johnson, and Kyle Monangai are on there. Homer's going to IR, so he's going to miss at least the first 4 games of the year. That could change also.
The worst thing that you want to do, Jeff, at the beginning of an NFL season is start the season dinged up, because you almost never recover during the course of that season. And then at the end of the year, we talk about how you really fought through the difficulty of an NFL season when you started with a little bit of a ding. Let's get the healthiest group in there. I think all these guys are qualified. They have a great training staff that I'm sure are working on them on a daily basis. But when you look at the dirty yards that DeAndre Swift got in the Kansas City game, those are the type of physical runs that can take a toll on you. Not necessarily the pretty plays, but those short physical runs can take a toll on you.
Introducing Cruz Blanca, a line of a Mexican-American premium cervezas. Bold, vibrant, and brewed right here in the U.S. It's the perfect beer for tailgates, backyard grills, and post-touchdown celebrations. Celebrate responsibly, Chicago. At wide receiver, there are 6. And Jade Walker makes the team. A strong training camp. Started really during the rookie minicamp as an undrafted player. He came aboard. You noticed 20 right away. And then he just bought his time, started contributing on special teams as well. Devin Duvernay figures to be the return specialist. Luther Burden III, along with DJ Moore, Romadunze, and one of the camp impact players this year, Olamide Zaccheaus. So 6 wide receivers. Tyler Scott let go.
Yeah, Jade, he made the team every day, and he went out there and had some significantly big plays in the games themselves on from the receiver part of it to the special teams part of it. But he also was equally as impressive in camp every day. So once he got on the coach's radar, he was always a blip on that radar. He never left that radar. So congratulations to him and every single one of the receivers that you just mentioned. They belong in the NFL. They belong on this team, and they belong in the creative mind of Ben Johnson.
And I'm curious if Maurice Alexander, by the way, could go on the practice squad. That's a connection to Ben Johnson. And the word I kept hearing about Walker, infectious. He's infectious to his teammates. He's got high energy at all times. Tight end, Cole Kmet, Colston Loveland, and Durham Smythe. So 2 new additions in the room at tight end.
Yeah, versatility. They got to be able to do a multiple of things, from the wide receiver position to the H-back to the point of attack tight end to the backside tight end, short yardage and goal line. And we all know analytically how much Ben Johnson likes to use 2 tight end sets. So these guys are going to get a fulfillment of their reps.
6 new offensive linemen out of the 10 they're keeping. They're going deeper on that front because, I would think from a GM's perspective, a scouting perspective, if these guys can play and they're versatile, recency bias because of how many changes they had to endure last year with injuries. But we start with the names, of course, and Tooney and Dahlman and Jackson and Trapillo. Benedette is considered a new addition because he made the active roster right now. And Luke Newman, the rookie that's impressed us all.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of versatility within that group. I think they can play multiple positions, and that's exactly what Ryan Poles wanted to build out of the starting 5. I still think there's competition at the left tackle position, and it may be a week to week. But for me, the best case scenario would to have a left tackle come in there and go, we can't take this guy out of the lineup. He's earned it, and we're playing a better brand of football with him in there. And we all know what Braxton brings. He's got experience. He's got intelligence. He's got a lot of fight in him. But I think what we've seen out of Theo Benedict in the last couple of weeks, when you make that transition from an offensive lineman to a left tackle and you don't disappoint anybody, I think his competitiveness will only increase the more reps he gets.
Good news, Chicago. United Airlines is getting brand new planes with all the bells and whistles like Bluetooth connectivity, screens at every seat, and room for everyone's roller bag. United, proud to fly the Chicago Bears, and you too. With that, we'll take a break, and we'll look at the defense on the other side of General Manager Ryan Poles.
Tough day. Cutdowns always are rough, having those conversations with the guys. I'm proud of the 53 that we have set up going into the season. In terms of some designations, Jalen Johnson is going to come off NFI as he returns. IR designated for return is going to be Travis Homer and Amon. So they'll be down for 4 weeks. And then for Zay Frazier, a little bit of a complicated deal because he's going to go on NFI. He had a situation that presented itself in a category that I would say personal. As we dug into it, try to help him out, revealed itself as something that happened before he got here. So credit to our staff, finding the root cause of what he was going through. So he'll be down for the year, but he'll spend the time going to meetings in the weight room and with the medical staff, preparing for next season to get ready to play. So kind of a bummer on the front end, but I think because of everyone's hard work and care here, we got him on the right path. In terms of training camp, I thought Coach did a great job setting up training camp in terms of increasing the competition, the physicality. Felt like you could start seeing our identity take shape, even though we know that will really solidify itself as we get into the regular season. I thought it was very competitive on the roster. It made the cut down process difficult. I give a lot of that credit to the players that worked extremely hard, but also our coaching staff. The staff did a wonderful job developing some players, putting them really ahead of the developmental curve, and in place to compete for starting positions, backup roles, and making the 53, which is always a good thing. We'll always continue to monitor the league in terms of calls with trades, waiver claims to see if is there any way to help our football team get better. I think in terms of our team specifically, I know there's a lot of questions at O-line. Feel really good about that position now. The backups, we're going to go with 10. That backup group has versatility. upside. Guys can plug in right now and play, and there's a couple guys that over the course of the year should continue to get better to help us in the future, this year or even down the road. So we're in a good shape there. And running back, that group's getting healthier. I know you all are out there, and there's just a few guys now that should look very different as we move forward. Each day should look different. Ben keeps putting different players back there too to shake it up and start some interesting conversations. So feel good about where we are, and I'll open up to questions.
I'm with Jalen. What's the timeline for getting him back fully mixed in practice-wise?
Yeah, we're taking that really day to day. When I was going out to practice, he was running and doing agility work. So I feel like he's getting better. When you're going from not playing and just training to football, there's all kinds of different things that kind of change timelines. So we're hopeful that he continues to get better. But we also have to be smart to make sure he's good long term as well. So we'll just take that day by day and really work through our medical staff to make sure we're doing right by Jalen.
Is there real optimism he can be ready week one? I know he's on the active roster, but that's realistic at this point?
Yeah, we're pushing for it, but again, it's that fine line of making sure that we're smart with him.
What's the concern about him having different injuries? Not even what he's been dealing with, but just the fact he hasn't been playing football and he go out there Monday night.
Yeah.
He's just not calibrated or ready or whatever.
Yeah, that's real, and that's what we're evaluating right now. We have a little bit of time before we get there to start the game week. So all of those things are part of the discussion.
What happened to him? What happened?
Yeah, before he got here, he had a soft tissue injury. Obviously, for this long, is a little bit more significant. So it's just taking some time to get back and be his regular self.
Ryan, you've been watching.
It's really not. I know there's a lot of questions about it. It's really not that complicated. He had a pretty good soft tissue injury before he got here.
As you've been watching practice the last month or so,
Yeah.
where have you seen confirmation of upgrades that you believed you had made?
Yeah, I kind of mentioned the O-line. That's the part where I really am proud of our whole group for putting that thing together, and proud of the guys for working the way that they have. And even Dan Rochar and Kyle Devan, the time they put in with those guys, you could see that. I even think that KC game was pretty good in terms of how they held up. The pocket was pretty strong. So we've seen that in the run game. Really throughout training camp, you can see hip to hip, 4 numbers, getting movement. And that's going to be something we have to be good at to have success on offense this year. And I felt like you could see that throughout training camp and in the preseason games.
Ryan, you said you're proud of the O-line. Would you have preferred the left tackle to have made himself undeniable during this competition, rather than, as Ben said today, like, we'll talk starters next week?
Yeah. I think that's really part of Ben's process, just talking next week.
But he said the last couple of weeks that he was hoping somebody would make themselves
For
known,
sure.
and it hadn't really happened.
For sure. And I think what part of that is you're dealing with some projections with Braxton coming back from injury. So you're like, all right, how close is he going to be to his normal self? You have some young players that are developing. You have a rookie moving over to different positions. So there's a lot of projection built into that. But I think as it came along, they all got better as we went. But we're going to have a lot of different options at really both left and right in our backup, swings, and really the versatility in that whole back end 5. Those guys can play multiple positions, which I think I don't know for sure, but we're up there in terms of how many different combinations we've rolled out there for the last 3 years. So you want to make sure you have insurance that guys can play and they can play multiple positions when you're, dressing 8 guys for a game. So we should be in pretty good shape.
What's your level of confidence in the pass rush with the group that you have on the line? I'm talking about getting after quarterback with front 4.
Yeah. Pretty good. I think this was the best training camp Montez Sweat's had. He's in really good shape, ready to go. I think Dexter's ready to make a move. And then when you put those guys together with Grady, who's been a great addition, not only on the field, but his leadership, that whole group has really lifted in terms of their play and their mentality. And then with Dennis, I'm sure there's things we haven't even seen yet in terms of him helping and enhancing and creating confusion to get to the quarterback.
Ryan, what's your evaluation of Caleb, what he was able to do in training camp in the preseason with Ben's tutelage along the way?
Yeah, I think, there were some up and down moments, which was expected when a new system is coming in, and it's not easy. There's no wristbands. There's some foundational work that he had to work through as well. So there's some growing pains that happen. But I know when I put the whole timeline together, start from when he walked on campus from last year to this year, there's been a ton of growth there. And I know as we get into the game weeks and dial in, that speed of play and being efficient should increase as we go. But I know they loaded him up and they were really hard on him, which is going to be great for his development. And I know he'd rather go through that tough time in order to have success later. So I think we'll build off of this and it'll be good.
Is there any spot position group that came into this process maybe having some questions about that actually turned out to be a little bit better than you thought? Like the O-line, I mean, you put a lot of resources in there. I'm sure you felt decent about that coming into it, but there's a spot where maybe you was like, I don't know, but it turned out a little bit better.
Yeah, I would say receiver. We put a lot in the receiver room, but just the way Zacchaeus has played has been outstanding. Luther has taken huge steps, and like he's just starting. Jade, and that's when I say when I think of Jade and I think of Theo's, like where they walked into where they are today. I mean, the discussion was developmental, and then they kind of put themselves a little bit ahead of that curve. So that receiver group, which made letting Tyler Scott go today difficult, but we have to stay true to competition and true to talent, not where guys are drafted. So I'm proud of that, proud of our group and the development for him. He earned it. I would say linebacker is the other one. Noah Sewell has made huge strides to come in and compete for that starting Sam position, got himself in shape, got right, choppy start in his career, which shows you like some of these guys, it's going to take a few years. This pro game is no joke, and you got to get yourself right to compete. Hippolyte's been flying around and is pressed to be one of the top guys in that room too. So that's another one that was ahead of what I thought it was going to be.
Conversely, I got to ask you the other way. Like, is there something that you came in feeling great about, and it's like maybe because of injury or whatever, now you're like, well, maybe it wasn't as solid as we thought?
Yeah, I think really because of guys getting dinged up, the secondary really hasn't been healthy together since the spring. You know, Kyler was out for a little bit, Jalen was out for a little bit, so it's kind of been a little bit of mix and match there. So it's going to be really nice when we get all those guys healthy and competing at the same level. So it's always felt a little uncomfortable in terms of the corner position, but there's been development there. Nashawn Wright coming in from Minnesota has done a good job, and he's gotten significantly better. McLeod's been a great surprise coming in and competing, being an inside-outside special teams guy. So that's probably one position, but it just haven't had a feel because all of them have been there at the same time.
Karan, I know when he was drafted, and he's been struggling to get up the depth chart at tackle. When he was drafted, you said that he could play some guard. Is that a move you guys might explore, moving him inside?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you all were at the practice where we started that, but he started practicing that guard too. It actually looked pretty good. So we'll continue to work on his versatility. We know he can do some left and right, but playing inside is going to be big too.
Do you envision Ozzie staying at right tackle? No.
Yeah, I'll leave that up to the coaches. I did like when he moved to the right. I thought he settled in, and it looked very natural. His hand usage, his feet. But it looked like that when he started out at left early. I think he just hit a rookie wall in the middle of camp there where things just kind of got all over the place, and he needed to settle in. And I think going back to watch that KC game, you could see things like slow down a little bit for him and his technique come back, because that was the best part of his game. It was like that dependability. His angles were right. His hands were right. He was in good positions and was very consistent. I think he just got out of whack a little bit midway through camp. So again, just with Dan and Ben and Declan having great feel, moving them back to kind of home base, got him comfortable, and we'll continue to work on his development.
Obviously, the initial 53, and it'll be fluid before you get to a practice in week one. What do you enjoy as a GM about this next phase of kind of combing through the churn of the roster here in the next 5 or 6 days?
Yeah, this is so on one end, it's difficult having hard conversations to get to 53. I think this next phase is a little bit. It's kind of like old school scouting. You have 1,000 guys on the waiver, and you go to work, and we'll be here all night. We've got food ordered, and we'll sit in the draft room all night, and we'll just dig, and we'll identify guys, and then we have great communication with our coaches, and we'll see if we can find some players that can help us on our 53 or even help on practice squad and just continue to elevate the entire team. It takes me back when I was in KC, the amount of transactions we had in that first year, just like our first year here, is a great opportunity to get better. It gets harder because the roster's better, so the spots are limited. But yeah, it's a lot of fun just searching trying to find guys based on some traits or, there's certain teams that are really deep, one position. So we know they can't keep them all, and identifying which one of those guys could help us. I talked to one of my buddies on a different team that's really early in the draft order, and it's the same pride checked on him, and he's in the draft room just grinding away, trying to find guys to help his football team get started. So it's an exciting time. It's not as exciting as when we first started, though, just because you're not going to have 6 claims. It's just hard to do that, which is a good thing. You don't want that right now.
That edge rusher opposite Montez Sweat, there were and are still some big names that are out there. Was there ever a thought from you to say, let's check on that and see if we can upgrade that position, or did you go through camp and say, I like what we have right now with Dial?
Yeah, no, and I've said this before, we always will call and see what the situation is and then weigh that against, our short-term and long-term decision-making process, and does it make sense? What does it take to acquire a player? The player's here, what does it cost? And then say, okay, for where we are, is that something we want to do? We're also trying to find is it the right culture fit? Like, there's more levels to just grabbing the talent and bringing it in. There's some huge, there's some impact things that happen in your locker room and on the field and your salary cap that, it could give you a little burst of energy, but long term, does it make sense for you, or is it going to be a derailer down the road when you're trying to sustain?
Well, where are Roshan and Manungai on their timelines? How much are you looking at the running back market?
Yeah, their timelines, I feel good about their timeline. Kyle's coming along. Like I said, over the next few days, you'll probably see the practice field look a little bit different. So I got a lot of faith those guys will be ready to go, and if they're not, we'll still look out and see if there's guys there that can help us. Like I said, with Ben's creativity, who knows who will be lined up back there. So
Ryan, this offseason, we talked about DeAndre Swift, needing to hit the hole on time and kind of just be a little more precise with everything. How have you seen that come along this offseason? And just in general, is the guy who may end up getting a lot of carries, is he the kind of running back that benefits from something like that?
Yeah, I thought you could just go back to the last preseason game. I know he didn't play in the second one. I thought he was very decisive with getting downhill and getting positive gains. There wasn't as much dancing with negative rushes, which is going to be big for us to stay on par with the chains and stay with positive gains there. So I feel like there's been improvement, which is a lot of credit to EB. You don't have too much room to do too much other than the right thing with EB, so he's going to keep working with those guys to get better. And then in that room, I think Kyle's done some really good things too. I know he's got dinged up late with some soft tissue, but he should be fine, and his vision, his feel, the physicality that he runs with the ball, contact balance, should help us big time. And then you get 2 different styles back there that you got to prepare for, which will be good.
Thoughtful news conference addressing many things. Now we're going to dig into the defense, but the first and foremost, outside of the left tackle position and how that's going to roll eventually and throughout the season, is the concern injury-wise of Jalen Johnson. He's lifting, he's working out, he's doing agility drills, but he has yet to take any practice reps. And now we're inside of two weeks before the season opener, so that automatically, it rings some alarms in terms of readiness. What are your concerns, if any, for Jalen Johnson, just in terms of just being physically ready to go?
We never get a chance to see indoor conditioning, and you can do a lot of conditioning indoors behind the, in that facility that the Bears have. And if they feel that he has been able to condition himself, then all you need to do is get him on his feet. He's been in meetings. He understands the defense. He understands the requirements of the position. So now for the I don't even know how many days there are left, 10, 12 days to the first game. That's in a veteran life, that's plenty of time. In a rookie, you would say, boy, I would like to have more time to go out there and play NFL caliber talent. But in Jalen's case, it's enough time for him to be ready. And if he does need to have a guy that can be inserted for a series or something, they have him waiting in the wings. But I hope that Jalen is ready to get onto this defensive backfield that we always thought it would be a strength of this team.
Only 7 new players on defense out of the 24. That includes on the defensive line, Grady Jarrett, Dayo Adengbo, Shamar Turner, who we have yet to see much of because of his first practice ankle injury. Chris Williams makes the roster, Dominique Robinson, and then at the linebacker position, so 9 defensive linemen, 5 linebackers. Hippolyte, of course, Carl Jones makes it. Special teams with the knowledge that Amin Agbangbamiga is on injured reserve and will also miss the first 4 games of the season. But all these guys showed up significantly. The linebackers all played well. Ryan mentioning Noah Sewell with us in the game against Kansas City as being one of his big surprises and biggest improvements on the team. And, of course, the reliable Edmonds and Edwards.
Yeah, we know about the veterans here. They're 2 of the better in the division and in the league. But then you got a guy like Noah Sewell. When they lost Jack Sanborn, someone had to step up. And it could be a guy like Hippolyte, but you would like it to be a veteran. And Noah Sewell did not disappoint anybody since OTAs began. And he's impressed in the games. He's impressed in practice. And now he's got a chance to impress during the regular season. And if he stays healthy and on his feet, he's going to be a big-time contributor to this team.
2 players that did not make the team, and they were under the gun, at least one of them, Zach Pickens, a former third-round pick, did not. And a bit of surprise, from my perspective anyway, Tano Passanon, a guy who's got veteran impact and had experience, obviously, with Dennis Allen in New Orleans.
Okay, where is Daniel Hardy?
He's made it.
Okay, see, that's the guy, because Daniel Hardy can be an exterior pass rusher. He could be a stand-up linebacker. He can contribute on every phase of special teams. So when you're talking about guys that are going to be inserted on 3rd and long and play a couple snaps at the defensive end position, that's where Daniel Hardy increases his value by what he can contribute to the big picture of game day activation.
Are aches, pains, or injuries keeping you on the sidelines? Athletico's movement experts are here to help you turn your setbacks into comebacks and create a personalized game plan for your recovery. With no prescription or referral needed, Athletico Physical Therapy is where your comeback story begins. Athletico is proud to be the official physical therapy partner of the Chicago Bears. So the aforementioned Jalen Johnson now the active roster. Kyler Gordon ready to go, started working himself in here in the last week or so. Tyreek Stevenson, Nashawn Wright, and Josh Blackwell. And then Nick McLeod is a new addition as well to the cornerback room. Really impressed. 5th-year player. This is not a rookie. He's been around out of Ohio State. He was a highly recruited player, a highly thought-of player at Ohio State, and now has got a great chance here with the Bears to help out in that secondary.
Yeah, and Ryan mentioned those guys, how impressed he was with those guys throughout training camp, and they were able to be probably get an extended look throughout training camp because of some of the injuries they've had back there. And when you got a guy like Dennis Allen can interject his opinion, you got a former player, Nal Harris, that can kind of create strengths of this group of guys that he brought into OTAs and training camp. These guys are at the best opportunity in their football life to have a continued NFL opportunity because of some of that quality coaching and evaluation they've had.
And a 4-pack of safeties, no changes from a year ago. Byard, Brisker, Owens, and Hicks. Dependability there in terms of their experience. Byard never misses. Brisker had a tremendous camp. We both agree that he was one of the stars of camp. And special teams, Santos, Taylor, and Daly as the long snapper. So with that being said, let's listen in to some Ben Johnson. Announces where he's at with the quarterback position and other hot topics, including that banged-up running back room.
We're working through that. We'll always be looking to, if there's guys out there that we can help upgrade that room. I feel really good about the coach that we have in that room. Eric Bieniemy's been doing a phenomenal job getting those guys ready. I think it starts there. I've been pleased with Swifty and everything he's shown over the course of camp. And then we've got some young guys that maybe don't have as many skins on the wall, but they're hungry and they're learning, and I feel good about it. So I think we're in a good spot right now. I think the injury part of it, that's the most troubling and most concerning part right now, is just making sure we have enough depth so that we have a full stable of guys going forward. But I have full confidence that week one and really for the whole season we're going to be just fine there.
It was a small sample size for DeAndre, but it seemed like he put some good things out there. What did you see from his performance in Kansas City that caught your attention?
Yeah, no, it's the same thing. He's got that ability to be a spark for us, and I've known that for years about the guy. I mean, he's particularly when we're a little bit stale coming out of the gate. He wants to be that guy to get us back on track, and I think that's what the good running backs do in this league. Is their teammates will feed off of them. All it takes is for one big play. I mean, he had the hurdle on the sideline, and I thought that was a good thing to see. And so explosive player, want to get the ball in his hands with some space as much as we possibly can. And I thought the cool thing you saw in that game was a couple short yardage opportunities, and he was willing to lower his shoulders and find a way to get the yard. So happy with where he's at right now.
What does Caleb need to do to not get off to a slow start? Is it an energy thing? Is it an accuracy thing? Is it a mindset thing?
No, I don't think it's any of that. It's just we're all about, and it doesn't matter. It's not Caleb. It's everybody. It's everybody, and it's coaches included in all this thing. And so we're not pointing fingers. The whole thing is we just got to be focused. We got to be intentional. We like to talk about, if we get 70 plays in a game, those are 70 bullets for us to shoot off, and we need each one to count. We can't be missing. We can't be wasting. And I think that's the mantra that we've been talking about as coaches, and the players are really taken to that. So just that awareness level that there are no breather plays in this league. Each thing is really important. The details are really important, and I think it's going to add up, and we'll be just fine.
With Jalen, in the limited amount of time he's going to have on the practice field, assuming he's back out there sooner rather than later, is stamina when you get to the game going to be a question?
Yeah, I think that that's a good observation right there, because we're doing as much as we can to make sure that conditioning is where it needs to be, but at the same time, there really is no substitute for putting on pads and playing the game at full speed. And so each guy's different, particularly guys that have had success in this league for a number of years. They're a little bit different than maybe a rookie that you don't know as much about. And so he does get a little benefit of the doubt because he's played this game at a high level. But at the same time, I don't think there's any substitute for being able to be out there and go through the process. Training camp is a really good indication, not just for the team, but for each player as you're working through low volume, ramp it on up over the course just to make sure you're ready to take on a 17-game season. And of course, he's missed that.
And you said all along with the left tackle spot that you want to see somebody stand out and earn that. Do you feel like that was the case?
I think we're going to have a starter week one, and we'll go from there. So that's, I said it a few weeks ago, and we feel good about the guys we have in that room. Someone's going to take the bull by the horns and is going to completely take over, but we're not afraid to make a change if the performance isn't where it needs to be. So we'll make that decision going into next week. I'm sure you guys will have a good idea who our starters will be going into Minnesota, but I'm not there yet. This week is still about us. I'm not worried about Minnesota yet. It's all about us.
And when you were a coordinator and you were looking at head coaching jobs, you made comments that I read where you wanted to go somewhere where you're going to be set up to succeed right away, or to succeed rather. How well set up do you think you are with this roster to be successful in year one?
Yeah, I think probably when those remarks were made, it was more talking about the alignment from the top on down, and from ownership to the general manager to president, and in that regard, I feel strongly about it. I felt strongly when I interviewed, and I still feel strongly about that right now. So that element is in place. Rosters change year in and year out. I think Ryan's done a good job over the course of his tenure here of accumulating talent, and now it's our job as coaches to find some results with it.
To rephrase it can take time to tilt the roster toward and shape the roster toward what a new coach and a new coaching staff wants. How close is this to what you want it to be and what you need to be successful this year?
There are some tenets that we feel strongly about as a coaching staff, more so in how we play the game and less so about the skill set of the players we have around us. I feel strongly about our coaches. They're really good at what they do. They've got a right mix of experience, and we're going to draw out the best of them, and we're going to put them in good positions to succeed. So there are no particular skill set requirements that we need. We got some good, talented players, and really the objective is to win. It's to win now.
Well, everyone wants to focus with their questions on how to clean things up with a first-team offense, such as was the case against Kansas City. Ben really stuck his foot in the ground here and said, listen, we got good traction with development. And this was never, you mentioned this long before the season began. This was not going to be a linear, hey, from day one, Caleb in the offense was going to be a process. And they're now in the thick of the process, getting better incrementally.
You know how we always look at the field at the beginning of training camp when you have all those ball boys, all those trainers, you got 90 guys out there and the field looks crowded. And then all of a sudden the cuts come down there. You go out to the first day and you go, oh my God, where is everybody? It's the same thing for the preseason when you have this playbook that's looks like it's 1,000 pages and you got 1,000 plays in there and you're trying to learn every one of them. Then all of a sudden here comes game week, first week of the NFL. Then that play ready sheet condenses down to the game plan that you're going to install for the Minnesota Vikings. Now you're thinking, where did all those plays go? So it's kind of like just the rhythm of the season. You install 1,000 things and then you cut it down to a game plan and it just doesn't look as big. And so now you have a process of repetitiously going over every one of those plays, 50 to 150 times each to make sure that when you install this thing for game week that you know exactly what you're doing, what you're saying, and what they look like.
When Mexican heritage meets American brewing, game day gets an upgrade. Cruz Blanca, Cerveza refreshed. Proud partner of the Chicago Bears. All right, what sticks out to you about this final roster? Is it the arrival of some of the newbies and guys that came a long way to get here, like a Jade Walker or a Carl Jones Jr. for that matter, or is it something less substantial than that?
The creativity and the way Ben thinks outside the box, and Ryan Poles brought that up a little bit. When you talk about the running back position specifically, I think the reps that we saw DJ Moore get at the running back position may be super beneficial if they do have not necessarily an injury setback or we have someone that's not going to be 100% until week 2 or week 3. Then all of a sudden you got DJ Moore back there and he's a dual threat. He can go out there and he can run plays, sweeps, or point of attack runs. He can go out of the backfield for play action passing, and he can be involved in a lot of different elements of this offense. So to me, it's the outside the box thinking of a guy like Ben Johnson and how he can fit people in a multiple of positions. I think when you look at the wide receiver position and a guy like Zacchaeus, here's a guy that you really needed to come in here and perform at a high level to complement DJ and Rome and the rest of the wide receivers that the Bears have on this football team. So I don't think that we've really seen in the game fashion this offense and how we're going to see it going forward. But because of the amount of playmakers that Ben has at his disposal, I do think that we're going to see a variation of formations that's going to take advantage of everybody.
Ryan, at every opportunity that he's spoken, he's really mentioned Dan Rochar and Kyle Devan, his assistant offensive line coach, repetitively throughout the entire offseason. I know you've had opportunities to visit with Dan. He's visited with the media. He's very open. He is transparent about what he sees and what he expects from his guys. That's a tough football coach. We heard him. We heard him on the field. He's not a quiet guy, that's for sure.
No, one thing that Ryan said in his press conference, he likes to see the 5 as one. And when you're talking about an offensive line, and it's whether you're trying to, create a point of attack, you're trying to create the deception of play action, you're trying to formulate a pocket so Caleb has time to look and have that sustained protection to find someone downfield. That's what I like most about Dan Rochar and Kyle, is they've worked with a group of offensive linemen. They put them in a lot of different positions. The competitiveness was at an all-time high, but they're super organized. When they have combination blocks, they block the defense. They don't block each other. When there's an offensive lineman that may have the ability to be uncovered so he can help from center to offensive tackle, you can see the player's head on a swivel. So there's a lot of little things that this offensive line has been taught to do to make sure that they're a unit, not individuals.
How do you tell a cashier you're a Bears fan without telling him you're a Bears fan? With the Chicago Bears PNC Bank Visa debit card, which gets you exclusive discounts on Bears merchandise. Find out more at pnc.com/BearsCard. When you look at this roster now as it's currently constituted, there are upgrades, obviously, at key positions. There's a veteran group of defensive players that have been here before but have been coached differently, and Ryan hit upon it. He likes what he sees in terms of what this team is going to look like in terms of its physicality, its activity, its identity that's taking shape. Everything was very competitive. Do you think that competitiveness, those competitive periods, the hitting, the pads that they used not just to run around with, but to actually have impact, and it became very physical camp, is going to make that defense better on day one than it would have otherwise.
100%. Listen, man, these guys, they're not going to have to get used to contact come week one of the regular season. They've been used to contact for the last 5 weeks. And I'm really appreciate the fact that Ben Johnson, being a first-time head coach, was not out here to take it easy on these guys. He was here to challenge him from day one. Like he said at the podium, you better be comfortable by being uncomfortable. And I think Ben challenged every one of these guys. But now this is, when I'm talking about just the defensive side of the ball, I've been watching Grady Jarrett for the last 10 years, and I know what to expect out of him. I know what an asset he can be to an entire group of defensive players from the front to the back. Now I need to see Javon Dexter Sr. I need to see Montez Sweat. I need to see these guys take that next step and be the guy that they're paid or the guy that they were picked to be. If you can get those guys to take that next big step forward, then you're going to be talking about a defensive backfield that's going to benefit from it. You're going to be able, Dennis Allen's going to be able to be more aggressive, and you're going to be able to have a rotational defensive line that is really effective.
All right, and I think we talked about Brisker and Gordon also taking that next step as well. Offensively, we're looking at Darnell Wright, Roma Dunze, Caleb Williams, as among the guys. Everybody wants to take a step. Everybody needs to take a step.
Jeff Colson's got to play like a veteran. And I know it's hard to say, but I think when you look at some of these guys and you look at the assets and the tools that Colston has to work with, the success he's already had in college, then he's got to come out here and he's got to play like a veteran. And when he started OTAs with injury, but then took part as soon as full padded practices began, he's never let me down.
Yeah, I'll give you another one. We don't talk about it, but a player that needs to play like a vet, Torrey Taylor. He's a weapon punter. He can do a lot of damage. Put teams in really uncomfortable positions.
Yep, and the Bears will be playing more outdoor football than indoor football, and he understands the weather conditions and the difficulty of sun shining in your face or wind blowing off the lake or temperatures dropping towards the end of the season, and he's got to be that guy when you need him the most.
I tell you, Ben's really emphatic about this too. Like everybody thinks, okay, it's getting ready for Minnesota. He goes, no, we're not getting ready for Minnesota just yet. We're going to take care of us first. We have time for Minnesota. That's next week. I love how he's compartmentalizing this. He says there's still things to be done.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about it. When you condense the game planning for your teams week to week, they've been working on the Bears offense, and they're still working on the Bears offense. And then they're going to have those 5 or 6 days to work on the Minnesota game plan. But then right around the corner, you got 4 or 5 days to work on the game plan for the Detroit Lions, and so on and so forth. So the luxury of time is no longer on your side. But I'm glad the approach that Ben is taking, that making sure it's still about the Bears, and then we'll get on to the Minnesota Vikings.
Hey, Bears fans, Steinhoffels is a proud partner of the Chicago Bears, now open in Orland Park. Steinhoffels is Chicagoland's furniture and mattress leader with the largest selection to fit every style and budget, and is 100% employee-owned. Shop in-store and online at steinhoffels.com. A word on the league-wide stuff. Just your thoughts real quick. Trey Hendrickson gets additional money, 14 more additional millions. On a one-year deal worth $30 million. Now he's a free agent next year with Cincinnati.
Yeah, even with Terry McLaurin, I hate these threats that the media takes and runs with them, whether on behalf of the players or on behalf of the team, and then they end up signing at the 11th hour. And now is Trey Hendrickson seriously ready to go out there and give them 45 explosive snaps? And I want him to have 50 explosive, 60 explosive snaps if he's in shape. But now, is he ready to do that just like McLaurin? And we still don't know what's happening with Micah Parsons. So with all this kind of stuff going on, these contract squabbles, they really sometimes put the media in an uncomfortable position, and they put the team in an uncomfortable position.
Well, we don't see Trey Hendrickson to week 9, so I wish it was earlier.
But Jeff, you never know if he's still going to be there at week 9.
Yeah.
Maybe because he's been sitting out and he's forced to play, because if he doesn't play, this defense is not very good.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to go out there and play at a high level immediately.
And then Washington week 6, Terry McLaurin, he's been an amazing receiver, gets 1,000 yards. He's had 7 different quarterbacks. He's had high production despite all that, 3 years, up to $96 million and $30 million bonus. And we don't know about Dallas yet, but we're playing all these guys.
Yeah.
So we're playing the Cowboys. That's not too far down the road either. Things are going to move quickly soon, Big Tom. Things are going to be. I don't know if you're ready. And if you have to get ready, then I don't know what to tell you. You better be ready. You better be ready, Tom.
You can't ignore Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift getting engaged either.
I can.
On the cusp of the Bears-Kansas City game.
You were thrilled about this. Would you like an invitation?
No, I'm not a good wedding person. However, I just kind of make jokes. I'm happy for both of them, but it is, it's not just a football story. It's a worldwide attention story.
It sure is. That's going to do it for us, Big Tom. I'm Jeff Joniak. Thanks for listening, everybody. Please subscribe now to the Chicago Bears official app, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Bear down, everybody.